Here. Executive Director Rooms, are there any additions to the agenda?
No additions from staff.
Okay, are there any members of the public attending tonight's meeting in person who indicated on the sign-in sheet they would like to provide public comment?
No.
Okay, if Executive Director, are there any members from the public attending tonight's meeting via Zoom who have raised their hand indicating they would like to speak?
No, they're not.
Okay, no. Okay, so we have our consent agenda there. If our board members haven't looked at it, you should look at it now because it's got 1,200 things on it. So, good.
That was an exaggeration.
It's an,
Well taken.
I've told you a million times not to exaggerate. Is there a motion to approve the consent
moved.
agenda? Is there a second? Yes. Roxanne, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Kaplan,
Yes.
Commissioner Ruttenberg.
Yes.
President Grossberg.
Yes, motion carries. Can we go to Director Peters to present the financial forecast treasurer's report?
No, we can't.
Okay.
Yes, we can. She's
We
here
can.
virtual.
She's virtual.
Hi, good evening. All right. Am I really loud? Can you hear me?
No, it was just a well-timed throat clear that got our attention.
Okay. All right. Well, good evening. And thank you to Manager Johnson for being at the controls this evening for our 2022 financial forecast and treasurer's report for the period ended September 30th, 2022. Our first slide shows our operating funds, the general and recreation funds. We can see for the past several months that our actual revenues have been surpassing what our budgeted revenues are. And at September 30th, we are at a surplus of revenues at $1.6 million. If we look at the red lines, we can also see that for several months, our expenses, our actual expenses have been trailing below the budgeted expense amount. And at the end of September, that was about a $1.5 million variance. And so what that means, if we look at the year-to-date net difference, that we have a surplus at the end of September 30th of about $3.2 million. We can also see below that, actually on the very bottom, the blue and gold lines, we have the average for the 3 years prior to the COVID. And so we do continue, at least for this year, to see how we trend against the average of those 3 years pre-COVID. And we are surpassing those numbers at the end of the September 30th by about $745,000. And so based on the data that supports the numbers on these charts, we can make a few conclusions on our next slide. At the end of September 2022, Park District programs and facilities were performing better than budgeted. $1.2 million of the operating surplus shown is due to timing differences. As such, $1.9 million is a better surplus number. Westridge Center is contributing $90,000 to the surplus, mostly due to an explosion in childhood enrichment programming. Centennial Ice Arena is showing a $13,000 loss at the end of September. However, as we look over our financials, we have projected that loss to be $200,000 by the end of the year. And so that's really the number that we're using to better analyze the numbers on the previous slide. Tennis is having a significant surplus with over 400 additional participants in its programming, producing a $300,000 surplus. Aquatics is showing a surplus of $20,000, largely due to above budget Learn to Swim participants. Athletics is showing a $60,000 surplus in enrollments. With improved weather as the year went on, Sunset Valley is showing a surplus of $375,000. Additionally, replacement taxes have come in at $350,000 more than anticipated. Property taxes have a surplus at about $177,000 more than budgeted. Interest income is at $80,000 more than budgeted. Finally, open positions during the year across the district are contributing to the reduced expense figure by $676,000. This places the Park District in a favorable financial position at the end of September. Does anyone have any questions?
Commissioner Ruttenberg.
No questions. No question.
When you say tennis, is that all racket sports?
It's everything Deer Creek indoor and outdoor.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, so is that a yes? I mean, they
Yeah.
may have,
In tennis camp.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly, yes, yeah.
And is there internal numbers that reflect the sort of what's going on with pickle v tennis?
Yeah.
Is there a way to monitor that?
Oh yeah, and I think they gave a little bit of those numbers at the last presentation when Deer Creek was here, but I mean the numbers obviously it's still significantly tennis, but pickleball has had a significant impact. But obviously we have much more tennis still.
Okay. So yeah, I
Yeah.
just think as we move forward, as we're looking at pickle becoming the obsession that it is and us investing in it, it would be great to know what exactly are we talking about and how do we monetize that? The way we already know how we do that with tennis, so to speak. I'm not sure. Can 4 people just come and reserve a pickleball court at Deer Creek?
During specific times, because they have open play, tennis, pickle, but predominantly it's leagues and drill classes.
Right, right. It just works slightly different than tennis, in my experience. Okay. Anything else? All right. Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you.
All right. We have some unfinished business to tend to. Approval of the changes to policy number 4.02, naming or renaming parks, buildings, and facilities. Assistant Director Malazewski to present.
Good evening and good to see everybody once again.
Hello, Chris.
If the board recalls, at the workshop meeting earlier this month, we discussed potential revisions to our policy for naming rights or renaming parks, buildings, and facilities in efforts to give the board more opportunity to negotiate with prospective donors, corporate sponsors, things of that sort. So tonight, what you have in your packet is the result of that discussion and a recommendation from staff to slightly adjust 3 bullet points in this policy, which I'll call attention to now. So first and foremost, in the second category, which is classified as the philanthropic naming rights, you may see in bullet 2, we are recommending an adjustment from the contribution
Chris.
of.
Hold on a second.
They don't have copies. It is in the packet. Do they have the packet on their computers? They don't. Can you pull it up on the screen? So they can at least see it
So
on the
it's in the
computer.
B drive. Do you want to see the red line version?
Yeah. Let me pull up the red line version. Sorry about that. We're saving on paper.
Sorry?
We're saving on paper. We're going digital. They'll pull up the red line version just to make sure. I know Chris was referencing the policy, so.
Having had an advanced edition of it, I have reviewed it
You have?
and have provided some comments to Brian. I think they're included now.
That's just the memo. They just
No.
gave me the red line policy.
I think Chris could pretty well summarize
Yeah,
the changes.
I think you wanted to go.
I feel-
So the first.
okay with you? Okay.
So the first recommended change comes in the second bullet in the philanthropic naming rights category, which previously stated that the contribution must be 60% or greater of the entire project cost. As it is recommended and as it reads now, is a contribution of agreed upon dollar amount to fund all or a portion of the capital construction costs associated with developing the park, building, facility, or component. Okay.
So-
They have it on their
And so that change was to clarify that we're not locked into a 60% number. It gives the staff and contributors a degree of flexibility for us to, might be a 40%, could be 100%.
Correct. The intent of that is to allow for a negotiation, if you will. If you recall, at the workshop meeting, it was also discussed for potential consideration at a future policy meeting to further clarify this and further identify categories or opportunities for us to acquire donors. But you're exactly right. This is just allowing for the board to have a negotiation and prospective donors not be pigeonholed, if you will, for a certain percentage. The second adjustment would remains in the philanthropic category. Previously it stated that a provision of a 20-year endowment was at minimum. Staff are now recommending that the provision of agreed upon term to fund an endowment for the continued maintenance of said facility or park. And lastly, moving on to the corporate naming rights category, in the fourth bullet point, previously it was stated that corporate logos, word marks, similar graphic identifiers were not permitted. Staff is recommending that we adjust that language to may be permitted at the discretion of the park board once again on any signage related to naming rights. So as previously stated, these three adjustments simply allow for the board to enter into negotiations, give further considerations, in effort to raise funds for certain projects, facilities, parks. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Commissioner Goddard,
No, I think the changes are all good.
Commissioner Kaplan.
As long as we don't look like a race car driver, I'm okay with the change.
And that's the beauty of it. The board has discretion and they have certainly the obligation and opportunity to approve anything that we would enter.
You could look good in leather, but
No,
I'm-
we just can't do it.
Do all the, any agreements we make go to the public for discussion? Is that what I understand?
Well, any agreement before the board for approval would always go to a public meeting for which there could be public comment. And then anytime if we do name or rename an actual facility, the policy still reads that it has to actually sit for 90 days. So if there was some strong opposition to something that the board had considered for approval during that 90-day period, there'd be plenty of time for the public or the community to weigh in on that.
Yeah.
So.
I think that's a key element to this for me. Because I do have some uncomfortability about it, but knowing that it's not just we do the deal and then it's done. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and I was also going to state that the policy is a little more strict in terms of voting parameters. It requires 4/5 as well.
Right. And then in terms of the corporate logo, et cetera, that also fits in that 90-day, anything.
That doesn't require a 90-day, but we do have a policy. If the amount that's being advertised is over $25,000, I believe it is, that has to be approved by the park board. So something of a significant nature would still require park board approval. But it's not naming, so it wouldn't sit for 60 days or anything, because there's no naming. It's
Right.
just,
I think
right,
It's labeling.
to help
Label,
frame-
yeah.
to help frame your thought, the board isn't approving a banner that would go on a ball field, but the board may be approving a logo that would go in the center court of the rec center.
Yeah, I was noticing like on the inner track at the rec center, we have those banners hanging down.
And that's the great work of our sponsor, Ship Coordinating McLaughlin and Martin.
right. So since those are of a lower dollar amount and they're not permanent, the board doesn't have to approve those per policy.
Right. Okay. Okay, anything else? Is there a motion to approve changes to policy 4.02 for naming or renaming parks, buildings, and facilities in the Park District of Highland Park Policy Manual? I heard Commissioner Kaplan. Do I have a second?
I second.
Roxanne, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Kaplan,
Yes.
Commissioner Ruttenberg.
Yes.
President Grossberg.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, new business, approval of the 2023 infrastructure upgrade project phase 2. Equipment purchase, Manager Johnson to present the bearded. Looks good.
All right, so evening. So back in July, I came to you guys for the phase 1 of the infrastructure project, which we implemented, which was results of new servers and file storage for Westridge. This is for phase two, which is our DR site, which is located at Centennial. We received word that equipment prices are dramatically going to change starting in November 1st. And with this, I'm requesting approval to purchase the equipment now. The lead time of the equipment is not going to arrive until 2023 anyways, because of the leads. So this would just be to get the purchase in, so we can lock in pricing, so we're not paying the premium of a 15% increase starting November 1st.
Oh, I thought you were gonna tell us the price were going down.
No, they're gonna go up on November 1st, and they're gonna go up again in 2023.
Can you define DR? for me?
Disaster recovery. So if Westridge happens to fall apart, all our stuff is migrated and
That's the next meeting.
replicated over there at Centennial.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that at the first. one. And when we did the first one, did we know there was a second one?
There's always a second one.
Okay. All
The
right.
second one was the budget.
Is there a third one?
There is no. Stop
Okay.
it.
Or do we start referring? to
We
them
just
as
start over
runners?
again.
Okay.
Are you looking for approval tonight?
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion to authorize the executive director to enter an agreement with Camera Corner Connecting Point, the purchase of the 2023 infrastructure upgrade project phase two equipment, the amount of $106,235.74.
I make such a motion.
I second that motion.
Okay.
And
And,
third that motion?
and this is budgeted, et cetera.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Yes.
we're
Okay.
in 2020.
Roxanne, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Kaplan.
Yep.
Commissioner
Yes.
Rottenberg, President Grossberg.
Yes.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay.
That's you right now.
Thank you. It looks like well, unless Liz. Well, I have a Parks Foundation update, Vice President Freeman to present. So
Liz
Sorry.
will
So,
provide the
can you
update.
provide the
if you
update?
don't, oh, I'd love that. You'll be twice as riveting because you're here.
All right, well, good evening, everyone. I have a lot of exciting things to share with you about the Park Foundation, but I will be brief. So first of all, I don't want to steal the thunder from Director Malzewski, but I am gonna say there will be a champions banquet.
Woo!
It's scheduled for March 15th. I believe we're looking at a new venue. And I believe that we do have Chris Chelios, who will be the next speaker, correct? So there is a Parks Foundation committee that is working on this. They're super excited. They had a meeting today. There are gonna be some new features to the event, some potentially an online auction, some other cool things that are gonna happen. So it will be really exciting. A lot of people are very excited about it, Foundation. They haven't really been on the foundation since the last Champions Banquet, so there's some new, fresh ideas. So it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be a great event. It'll be a great. fun.
You said March 15th.
March 15th.
Did you say the new venue?
Pardon me?
Did you say the new venue?
Studio One is
Is that on
right at the corner of Central. and-
Green Bay? Yeah. Okay. The old VFW? Yeah.
Yeah, so, so that's going on. We also, just found out last week that, the Highland Park Community Foundation, awarded the Parks Foundation a $5,000 grant for our FYI program. So that is fabulous. That's been a program that's been wonderful, especially our FYI swim, lessons. We also had some, FYI camp scholarships last year that we were able to grant. So this extra $5,000 is going to be really great for the program. Also, the foundation's annual appeal kicks off in November. So they're working with the nonprofit coach to put together messaging for that, and that will, I believe, launch on Giving Tuesday. So we also have been working with the foundation on putting together a new donor management system. And this system is going to give us the ability to input all the information about our donors, what they give to, what projects they're interested in. And so that's going to really be helpful for us to, target messaging to them, whether it be for a capital campaign or an annual appeal. So that all should be in place in addition to a new website. we hope by Giving Tuesday. So a lot of things are going on and they're working with that and putting all this together. In addition to that, we are going to be working on putting together another potential fundraising committee for pickleball. And that's going to be in November. We have a couple of foundation members that are interested in that. And it would be a new fundraising committee. Capital campaign. So we'll,
Can I ask about that? Could you expand on the pickleball fundraising, the purpose, where it's targeting? What-
we're looking at potentially making some improvements.
Okay. Okay, nice report.
No, I was just
Yeah.
wondering, I was actually hoping it was gonna be big improvement someplace within the district. Because going back to what you were saying about pickleball.
I think that is the earliest identified need, and this committee would be a sorts of group that would also identify other wants and desires to since they would be avid pickleball players. So things such as lights or potentially indoor, who knows? So I think they would be a good group to identify, help identify and put into, future master plan discussions.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? I mean, that's great. Very exciting. Thank you for stepping in. Appreciate it. Board committee updates, Executive Director Rome's.
Yeah, thank you. So we did have 2 finance committee meetings earlier this month. Just give a quick recap. On October 11th, Director Peters did go over the Park District's fund balance policy, and we received consensus from the board to adjust that policy, which was approved this evening. So that was discussed at that meeting, and then also reviewed the 5-year capital plan, including projections for the end of this year. And then that capital plan will be reviewed again at the next finance committee before going to the park board for their final review until it gets placed into the budget. And then on October 18th, there was another finance committee, and staff presented a recommendation on the 2023 tax levy. And further discussion will take place at the November 9th workshop meeting at the request of the finance committee. And those are my committee updates.
Okay,
Any questions?
well, okay, you want to slide into director's report?
Absolutely. I think it would be, let me see here. What should we kick off with aquatics? Can we do an aquatics presentation? I know we have a lot of our aquatics team here this evening to present on the outdoor water park and Rosewood Beach operations. And Kari Acevedo is going to lead the way. And we also have Eric Gonzalez and Shelby Nutham here this evening, who are part of our aquatics team. And of course, Amy Murin, our Assistant Director of Recreation. So Kari, take it away, please.
Hello.
We're going to cover Rosewood and Hidden Creek. Rosewood Beach. Some highlights. Our season ran from May 28th to September 5th, so 12 full weeks with 3 weekends on the postseason. Our open swim times were from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We had 30 designated just lakefront staff, which included seasonal supervisors, head lifeguards, parking attendants, ambassadors, and then a full-time lakefront supervisor this year. Some of our safety, since safety is always our priority, we had over 46 hours of pre-season training. We were audited by Councilman Hunsaker, internal audits by our supervisors and head guards. And then we did weekly mandatory in-service training with our head guards and seasonal supervisors. We did a crisis prevention institute, role play, did scenarios with them. Lakefront scan cards, we had 2 scanning stations this year in our lower ravine path and then for the boardwalk, and then down the stairs We had to be hardwired in this year. We'll talk about some changes for next year to make it more friendly. Lakefront, we still continue with our lakefront parking details, and we use a Gamma Team security company scheduled through May 28th through September 25th. Weekends only after Labor Day from 6 p.m. to 12 p.m. stationed at Rosewood and Park Avenue.
They were the people checking passes, et cetera, or
Uh,
just,
For Gamma Team, they were the ones that were there, like when the aquatics team was not there. We only had a lead ambassador roving through the lakefront, but they were a contracted security firm stationed down there. Some highlights for revenue to point out. I'm not going to cover each one individually, but just take a look. Some of our highlights. And some things that to point out some of our biggest expenses this year. Of course, as a common theme you'll see is our staffing and security. It does cost a lot to operate the beach with staffing and being competitive. We do pay a little bit higher than our surrounding districts with the staffing shortage to stay competitive. We had some upgrades to Upper Rosewood for electronical needs, and then the decals, and then some upgrades to our walkie-talkies this year to always stay in communication. That's Rosewood Beach. Some seasonal highlights as well. Overall participation was higher than pre-COVID. We did see a decline of utilization from 2021. This is because there are different recreational activities surrounding beaches are open, pools were open, and overall leisure activities were reopening this year. Some challenges that we had this year. If you
Every
haven't
year.
heard, the biting flies were horrible. Several high bacteria days. We had a very hot start of the summer, which was great, but we were hitting capacity in our parking lots, which was an issue. We did see an impact from participation after the 4th of July tragedy, and then a cooler August and Labor Day weekend for us. Some additions, we did add Eric Gonzalez, our lakefront supervisor, and Juice Pizza for concessions this year.
Could I ask you to go back one slide? I'm sorry to do this.
Yep.
The one before this?
Yep.
I see there's no concession revenue, but we
Yeah,
have,
we did not do a concessions revenue. We did not get anything from them. Originally, when we went out to bid, no one bid for us. And then with our help from marketing and having a relationship with Judy's Pizza, they sponsored a lot of stuff. They were graciously helped us this year. So we did not ask for revenue. from
do we
them.
know how their business was?
We did meet and they did not make money this year. They actually lost money. 2023 is going to be an extraordinary at Rosewood Beach. Some things that we're going to be offer special events and parties at Rosewood Beach. Offer free non-resident days similar to the Chicago Park District, 3 days at the Shep, and to welcome non-residents to Rosewood Beach. Proactively inviting area camps to bring their campers to Rosewood. So our staff has already started working that. We're going to be pushing that out in December. Usually we wait till about January, February, but to stay proactive and competitive. Posting staff near upper parking lot. We're bringing that back this year. We weren't able to do it. We have to station someone at the lower part of the stairs. So we're going to be putting them upstairs and being able to welcome them. And then we are installing a speaker in the South Cove to improve communication, especially for emergency response after July 4th. We saw a problem to communicate.
oh, why don't we, since that's it for Rosewood,
Mhm.
so anything else about Rosewood?
You- The last couple of years, we had reports of bad behavior by mostly out of Highland Park residents. Was that why we hired Gamma? And did we have issues this year?
So there were a few instances, not as bad as it was in 2021. We continue to have security just due to the need of, especially in the after hours, and with our police department not being as visible down there during the evenings.
Okay. I have a question, sorry, about, and this may be not your thing, but I had a constituent ask me why we don't have kayaking in one of the coves at Rosewood. So I just want to be able to tell them the right answer for that.
Well, there's a few reasons why we don't actually. So this was discussed when Rosewood Beach was renovated, and I think there probably are three reasons. One, it's very challenging, the parking situation at the Lower Rosewood. As you know, there's very limited parking spaces, and it can be, I don't want to say unsafe, but safety can be a challenge when there's so many cars pulling in and pulling out in such a small space. And so it was decided that, to have to take off your kayak and walk your kayak down was potentially impeding our ability to keep the parking lot safe. And we already had a dedicated location for people to launch at Park Avenue. And so the decision was made that let's make this our dedicated swimming beach, and that would be our dedicated launching beach. In addition, there is summer camp down there, and that's been deemed our nature cove. So it's a non-swimming cove. There's not a lifeguard there. So those are the main reasons, unless I left anything out that you can recall.
We had a contractor providing kayaking.
Right. And the idea with that was that people were not bringing their kayaks and launching. So we did provide a service down there for kayaking, and also people can come in the cove and back out of the cove. The main thing we were trying to detract was people bringing their kayaks out and carrying them down through the parking lot, and avoiding any safety concerns. But yeah, so we have discussed the potential of bringing back the ability to rent kayaks down at Rosewood Beach next summer. There's no plans solidified at this point, but it's something we talked about.
Good. Yeah, sorry, that I forgot that this person asked me to ask, and then this sparked that. So, okay, go ahead. Now we're on to Hidden Creek.
So some season details, open May 28th through September 5th. We had our regular season early bird lap swim from 5:30 to 9:30 a.m. Aquafit from 8:30 to 9:30. We fit camp swim lessons, not for internal and external, from 9:30 to 11, and then open swim from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, and 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. Postseason, we are open from August 14th through September 5th. And those were shortened days. Open in the evening from 4:30 to 7. And then on the Labor Day weekend, we did have to close a little bit early due to staffing issues, but able to run still a safe operation during those weekends. And then we had 2 semi-private birthday parties scheduled from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. We hit our goal of 170 employees for the aquatic team this summer, which is awesome. Lifeguarding shortage is a huge concern right now amongst our peers, and so we're very proud of hitting that number. Some safety, just very similar to Rosewood, cross-train everyone, preseason training, 46 hours. We did internal audits, got audited, and then worked with our seasonal supervisors and head guards on some role playing and scenarios for crisis prevention. Some Hidden Creek highlights, we maximize our pool space. We are one of the only pools in the area that really are open starting at 5:30 a.m. until 8 p.m. and maximize every part of the day. We really pride ourselves to have, we're having swim lessons at the same time as open swim, having camp going. So a lot is the community is being able to utilize that. Additional, for concessions, we have, Judy's Pizza. Our attendance in 2022, was 26,451 compared to last year, which was 23,952. The start of 2021, we did have the reservation system. So, there is a lower due to that, but, overall, compared to pre-COVID, we are trending upwards in our utilization of the pool. We did see a decrease in utilization from the beginning of the summer. So after 4th of July, we did have a lot of people say they just did not feel comfortable being in crowds, after that. Another highlight, we had 5,736 campers visit Hidden Creek this summer. 3,021 were internal camps, so making sure we're getting those campers in. And then we welcomed After Camp Splash, that extended here to Hidden Creek this summer, and it worked out really well.
Okay.
Any questions about that?
Judy's make money here. Sorry, Judy's.
Yeah.
People are bringing their own pizza.
They're giving away a lot of stuff. They're really friendly. They helped our team a lot. They gave us stuff. So it was a great partnership, just very easy to work with. And they're working right now providing pizza. So it's great.
Wow.
Yep.
They're a great
What's
partner.
happening out in Midwest?
So here are just some highlights for revenue and expenses. Some of our highlights for expense, some of the contributing factors: in-house pool shell repair, painting, plumbing and valve repair, chemicals, and then just high wages. That's the biggest contributor. If you look, though, we are excited about seeing a surplus in budgeted numbers from our seasonal membership, and then our overall camp revenue coming in. We did see we were over budget for that. '23 is going to be extraordinary at HCAP. We are going to be doing 100 days of fun. That is our overall. We're going to be making a calendar with incorporating different events, kind of do kind of hybrid. If you go to like a resort and there's times like contests and stuff like that, so bringing that to the park, so we're adding value to our members. Staff retention and recruitment efforts we have already started, and we just got to be on top of it because everyone is experiencing that. The products team has already started putting together camp kit packets, and we're going to be sending those out in December to maximize our pool space during the week. Some weekly activities and themes, we're adding bags, hex ball, bocce ball, foursquare, gaga ball, and more to the back lawn to add value to HCAP membership, cross promoting, and we're going to have other departments come in to showcase some of their expertise, and then additional new shade structures, a new pool deck, new deck chairs, and then we were ready for another exciting product. Any questions about any?
Commissioner Ruttenberg.
It's a cool picture. How important is it, in your opinion, to have food service at the beach and at Hidden Creek?
I think it's very nice to have it as an option. Being a mom of a young child, I would say that that's one of the first things she always wants to do. I think most kids do. They spend their money there. I know we'll get feedback that people want healthier options and they want like a whole like array of food. Do I think that's as important? Probably not, because it gives them too many options. But like I said, he didn't make money this year, and hopefully working with him early this year, we can set his prices different, especially for camp and rentals. We're adding rentals time that we can attract more people that way and spend money and help him get money that way.
Well, you see a difference between food at Hidden Creek and food at Park at Rosewood?
Yeah, especially the space and the amount of like what they can offer. Just see them with like electrical needs and stuff like that, and maintaining their product there. And then we only had it on the weekends because there's not a consistency during the week at, Rosewood, it's not, sometimes they could be campers there, but sometimes they're, with people's work schedules and stuff, there's not a lot of people spending money there. So keeping it on the weekends only.
What do other parks provide at their beaches? Do they generally have food service, or, is it a loss leader? I can understand Hidden Creek. Because just the sheer number of people and the sheer activities. But haven't we historically had a problem at Rosewood with food service?
Yeah, usually it is a loss down there, mainly because it's a staffing cost for them as well, and with our local other park districts, they are offering it, but it tends to not be like a revenue generating operation.
Do they subsidize?
A lot of people do.
Is that something you want us to consider? Well, yeah.
I think we can probably talk about an arrangement where there's a benefit to offering a more consistent service that we might be willing to subsidize versus if they hit a certain number, they might be willing to give us a split of that revenue.
More
So it could be
more thoughtful contract.
we could talk about that.
Yeah. Because obviously Hidden Creek should be a winner. And I understand the challenges of the beach. So, but I think it's important that we offer something.
Yeah, and one of the things they tried to do that maybe they'll be able to improve upon next year was mobile ordering, where they could order it from wherever they're sitting and then they could go pick it up. But people really do value convenience, and they, as you know, Amazon is proof of. If you can order it from your phone, people are sometimes more apt to ordering it. So they're just trying different strategies.
Sure, I'm sure that we could come up with some marketing, Thursday at Rosewood, half off on pizza, just come up with things, right? Thank you.
Great.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Thank you. Very good. All right.
Yeah,
Anything
and
else?
would love to. I've asked manager Palo Nature Center Jessica Reyes to come to the meeting tonight. Of course, you could hear me give the updates of events coming up, but I know Jessica put a lot of time and effort into the Dia de las Muertes event, and so she's going to just give an update so you can hear it from her, who planned the whole thing instead of me.
Always great to see you. You'll be getting your email for Martin Luther King Day soon.
We're excited. We always love being a part of it. Thanks for having me. I'm very excited to talk about the special event that Keller has decided to put together. It's one of our first cultural events here at the Park District of Highland Park. The idea kind of really stemmed with wanting to bridge the Highwood community with the Highland Park community, and especially with the preserve being open and how beautiful it is. Just letting Highwood and Highland Park residents know that it's this beautiful free space. So let's celebrate it. Let's celebrate us and learn about a new culture while we're at it. So Dia de los Muertos is on November 5th, the event from 1 to 4. And I've been working really hard with District 113, Highwood Library, Highland Park Library, as well as the Highland Park Arts Center, and a couple of other organizations who have helped me out along the way. And we're going to have mariachis perform, and we're going to play a big game of loteria, which is Mexican bingo in between, where we'll give away prizes. And then afterwards, we'll have traditional Mexican dancing, where they'll do the traditional Day of the Dead dance, as well as a couple of Sampas dances, which are like wood floors required, and it's a lot of tapping the feet. It's very beautiful, very vibrant, very colorful. We have a community altar that's going to be placed, and the idea of community altar is where people can bring pictures of their loved ones, and we cover it with just beautiful marigolds and foods of the foods that people love to pass, drinks and candles. We'll use fake candles, but it's just a great way to remember the ones that we've lost, and celebrate them and celebrate the memories with them as well. And we're gonna have sugar skull face painting. We're gonna make picture frames and paper flowers. We're gonna have a lot. Las Plancha Loca will be there from Highwood, so their food truck will be there. And then Lola's Churros will be there as well. So it's gonna be a really great time. We're super excited. And so we hope we get a lot of people to come out and enjoy this event. And I hope you do too.
How are we promoting this?
So marketing has been really great in helping us put this on our website. Jean also wrote a wonderful article about the day and about the different components about the day. A woman from the Lake County newspaper reached out, and so she's been kind of gathering some information about the event. And then also too, just through our local organizations, they've been sharing the information. We have created the flyer in Spanish and in English, so then that way we can make sure that we get the Highwood community aware of the event. We're also going to provide a free shuttle service from the Highwood Library to the preserve.
And is it going to be fairly close to the parking lot?
So it's going to be over where the sand, the turtles are in that space right there.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a walk, but we just figured it's a nice big kind of spot. People want to enjoy the sand play area, they can enjoy that too.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And La Plancha, you got me right there. Street tacos, yummy. All right, fantastic. Any other questions? Comments?
Thank you.
It's going to be amazing. Thank you.
Okay, I have one more update. Executive Coordinator Roxanne Hajnowski is going to give an update because she has been putting in all the effort for organizing a Thanksgiving food drive for youth at risk. And I know she's excited to share that food drive for the whole community to participate in. So, Roxanne?
Thank you. So this wasn't just an effort of mine. We have a climate task force. So there are members who we came together. We wanted to do more community outreach. And so we are partnering with Fill a Heart for Kids. They are a local charity out of Lake Forest. They provide educational support, necessities, and positive experiences to local homeless and at-risk youth. The majority of the kids they end up helping tend to be in Waukegan and North Chicago, but they also go so far as the south side of Chicago. So what we are going to be doing is a food drive that begins November 1st, runs through the 13th. And then we're going to be doing a food packaging party on November 14th here at Westridge Center. So throughout the day, you have the opportunity to volunteer, or you can sort through the items that we have collected. And then from 4:30 to 6:30 in the gymnasium, we're going to do an event. Now, Fill a Heart for Kids, they're going to be out there with us. They're going to be telling the story as to why this is important, who this is going to, and why we're doing this along with us. So I am actually going to the city tomorrow to drop off their collection boxes. So I am happy to say that we have quite a few sites that are going to be doing collections for those food donations. It's the our recreation center, Lincoln School, Deer Creek, City Hall, Westridge, Public Works, and the Senior Center. We did send out invitations to volunteer for the sorting and packaging party to our community database, our programming and membership databases with current and previous members of the foundation, to the park board, and to park district staff. This is also open to family members. So it's not just to us. If you and any of your family would like to participate, you're more than welcome to. If kids would like to participate, we just ask that anyone under 15, a parent is with them. That's really all I had. Do you guys have any questions? If you want to volunteer, please let me know. I'll be happy to sign you up.
Definitely.
She signed me up.
I did. I signed Brett. I will sign you up. Yep.
Sign me up. Yep. That's gonna be great too. I know Fill a Heart, speaking of MLK Day, they've also been a part of our festivities there as well. So that's a great outfit. And thank you for doing that.
Happy to. So that is just the first one we're doing for this year, and hopefully we can plan a couple more in 2023.
I'm sure you will. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, what else?
I just want to wrap it up with the seasonal Halloween events that we have going on at the Park District last weekend. You had the Halloween hauntings, which was extraordinary. We had over 400 participants. We had live music, and it was a very spooky trail.
How many
Uh,
people were scared?
I think everybody was delightfully terrified. So that went fantastic. And then this weekend, or I'm sorry, tomorrow actually, there's a drive-in movie, Hocus Pocus, is going to be playing at the Recreation Center of Highland Park. And then on Saturday, there is a scary mini golf at the River's Edge Mini Golf. And then on Monday, Halloween, Westridge Center will be hosting the Trunk or Treat at 10:30 a.m. And there are many departments throughout the park district who are going to be decorating their own trunks for the community's benefit to come by, see the decorated vehicles, trunks, and get candy out of them. So I
Wasn't sure if that was an elephant thing.
no, yeah, it's out of the trunk of your vehicle. So there are lots of ways to decorate your trunks to make them look like festive things. So we're very excited about that. And the only other thing is at Sunset Valley, there is a hard course chili open, which means it's a very difficult course to play. So I'm sure you'll be signing up for that, President Grossberg, since you are
What makes it harder than normal golf?
probably pin placement and tee box placement. A little further, a little harder. And that's a summary of the wonderful things happening throughout the park district. That's all I have.
Pretty great.
Our next meeting will be Finance Committee next Tuesday, and then the workshop. I'm sorry, a week from next Tuesday, November 8th, and then November 9th. No meetings next week.
Okay, are there any members from the public attending tonight's meeting in person who indicate on the sign-in sheet they would like to address the board?
No,
Are there any members via Zoom who want to address the board?
no,
Is there any other business from staff or the board?
none from staff.
We will not be going into close. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So move. Second.
All in favor